to the Breakfast with Richard Plurno. Speaking of coming together, that's what happened last night. Committee meeting of the Dubbo Regional Council. Matthew Dickinson, bit boring.
Oh, no, not at all, Richard, not at all. What are you saying? Please. Committee meetings, always very interesting, and lots of interesting information was discussed last night.
One thing I did pick up on, I didn't know you had sort of like an agreement, if you like, between councils and developers. And before I start to get accused of being playing favourites or whatever, you have an agreement between South Lakes. Now, what are these agreements?
So when a developer goes through and develops a whole range of land, there's obviously some park land, there's some green areas of those developments, which is obviously something they want to do as part of that development to make it attractive. But then, obviously, all of that maintenance needs to go to council, and we collect extra rates from that area, so that's all sensible and makes sense. But we like to have some agreements in place as to who looks after that during the phase of sales of that development, and then who looks after immediately after. So last night, for example, one of the processes that we discussed was the South Lakes development, where we are basically putting together a formal agreement. So from the sale of the last block of each subdivision for a period of 10 years, the developer will be responsible for maintaining the public open space. And after that 10 years, that will then transfer across to council for council to look after that public open space. Obviously, the ownership...
Can I jump in there, Matthew Dickinson?
Sure.
Is that a condition of sale?
That's not so much a condition of sale, that's a condition of the development. So it's something you work with developers to try and come up with an agreement that works for both parties. They want to make it look good, so they want to be responsible during the process. But some developers might want to sell the last block and then scurry off into the distance. We like developers that want to be able to have some investment in that area, and that's exactly what this particular agreement is in South Lakes in particular, is that the developers there will have 10 years they'll be responsible for it. Obviously, the ownership of that public open space transfers across to the community, across to council at the end of those sales, but it's the maintenance, and that's one of the big issues. As more developers develop lovely green open spaces as part of their developments, that makes more work for council going forward. As I said, more rates are generated, but we've just got to be careful that we don't have this huge cost impost on council.
Yeah, so they have to look after it for 10 years.
For 10 years, that's the agreement, and that's for each of the separate subdivisions there. From the sale of the last block, 10 years they'll have to look after it, and then it will transfer to council responsibility to keep looking after it after that particular period of time. And this isn't just South Lakes.
It's just pertaining to South Lakes, Matt, or not, or all developments?
Well, this is the discussion we had last night, and the policy put forward for South Lakes in particular was last night at the committee meetings, but it's something that we do with all developers, and it's slightly different each time. There'll be slightly different conditions in each one. This particular development was for South Lakes, but other developments have similar types of agreements. The length of time might be different, the amount of public open space might be different, but it's always something that we like to have in writing so that everyone understands what their responsibility is.
Yeah, okay. Will that also come into play, Matthew Dickinson, as part of this 3-lot sales starting today at Keswick?
So this is a really tricky one because Keswick is owned by council, but Keswick has different divisions, or council has different divisions within council. One does the property development, and another area looks after the public open spaces, the parks and land care, for example. So that same sort of agreement will be in place between those two separate divisions of council. The thing you referred to specifically there is something that I'm pretty excited about today, and hopefully in a few hours' time we'll see some really good results. At 10:30 this morning, we'll have the first time ever that council will be doing mass auctions of land. We've done some small one-off auctions of land before, but we'll have 17 blocks going up for sale today at 10:30 with both a physical and an online auction. We've never done that before either, Richard. So that'll be really interesting. Hopefully we'll get good prices, hopefully really strong interest in those auctions. That all starts at 10:30 this morning.
Yeah, I was talking to Murray Wood about this yesterday, Matthew Dickinson. He was saying there is reserve on each of these blocks. There are 17 unregistered, including 4 duals. So you've got a reserve on all of these, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right. As any auction would have, any person that's selling something via auction, they'd have some sort of reserve price. That reserve...
Okay, you flog them all off, you keep the dough.
The council obviously owns that land. Council's done the work on the development, paid for all that development cost, and then council obviously has the money from that development to then use in other parts of the community.
Okay, so 17 today, 17 next week, 17 or 18 the following week. You and I have had this discussion in a debate form too, haven't we, Matthew Dickinson? Should councils be real estate agents?
And that's one thing that I've ebbed and flowed over the years. I must admit, Richard, I've changed my mind a few times on that. Should council be involved in land development? And sometimes when there isn't a lot of land development around, I think to myself, maybe council's better off selling the large chunks of land they own and letting developers go and develop it. But now, at a time when we are desperate for land development, it's actually good having council there that it can accelerate some of this particular market, because we do desperately need more blocks of land. We have so many people who want to move to Dubbo. We need to have more land development. So it's actually good that council owns at the moment. So I must admit, I've wavered over the years. Don't forget the fact that this does generate income for council, and the more income we can generate outside of rates, the less pressure it puts on rates.
Now, are developers going to bid for these?
Developers could bid for these, but there is a limit. No individual person or no company or related group of companies can buy more than 2 of these parcels of land, and that's across the whole 52 blocks of land, not just 17.
If I'm a land developer, if I'm a developer, I can't say to me, mate, hey, I'll buy 2, you buy 2, but we're in the same company, but we're going under individual names. That can't happen?
Correct, that's right. So any company or related entities for that company. So if you've got separate divisions of the company or other related entities where you're the majority owner of different companies, you can't go and buy more than 2. And that was really to make sure we didn't have any one particular builder or land developer come in and buy the whole lot of them.
Yeah. All right. There's always ways around. When there's a will, there's a way, isn't there? Well, the first one starts at 10:30, and as you say, it's online or at the Western Plains Cultural Centre today. Yeah,
very exciting. I'm really keen to see how the results go. It's only a couple of hours' time. We'll know whether this has been a good idea by council or not.
All right. Dream Festival kicks off as well tomorrow. We've got the seafood truck. I talked to Dougal Saunders about that. A chef's in town, so there's a bit bubbling around. And I'll be interested too to see how much is sold, how much is handed in, or how much of these 17 blocks today are actually sold. Matthew Dickinson, Mayor of Dubbo Regional Council, appreciate your time this morning. Enjoy the rest of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
8 o'clock.